Bad news, haters, I'm still alive. So, the Paper Kingdom has always been a bit of a conundrum for My Chemical Romance fans. I just felt like using a fancy word. Set to be MCR's fifth album that was teased and talked about in interviews around 2012. In short, this album would never see the light of day, mainly because the band would break up in 2013, and only one confirmed song from the scrapped album would appear on their 2014 Greatest Hits album, May Death Never Stop You, with the scrapped song being the first one, Fake Your Death. But apart from that song, it was a complete mystery to fans about what exactly the rest of the album was going to sound like. That was until February of this year, when the entire album would seemingly leak out of nowhere, bringing closure to a lot of MCR fans who were anxiously waiting to hear the rest of the album for the past 14 years. However, there's a bit more into the history about how this album even got leaked, and I would like to discuss that today. First, I want to give a shout out to this article that was chronicling the history of the Paper Kingdom between 2012 and 2024, written by Sammy Literally. I'll be linking that in the description, but also, yeah, it's a bit outdated. But I'd still recommend looking at the article since it's a pretty interesting read. Also, huge shout out to the leak CX user Bitch2025 for breaking down a pretty solid history of all the MCR leaks, along with linking to an updated Reddit post, which was written by Kektai, about even more leaks. I'm giving shoutouts to all these people since they helped make researching this video a whole lot easier. So, what is the Paper Kingdom, and why was it just never released? Well, before we really dive into that, we gotta start with... So, sometime after the rather lukewarm reception of the band's fourth album, Danger Days, lukewarm at the time, by the way, this album holds up like beautifully well, everyone should go listen to it. But with Danger Days not meshing well with most people at the time, MCR would go back to the studio in mid-2012 shortly after they wrapped up their tour that year. The goal for the next album was going to go back to the more darker themes of their previous records. The band even built a whole new studio just for the purpose of making this album.
You have started thinking about the next record then?
Yeah. Back in LA, we just got a studio, so we're kind of building that out and basically trying to make a kind of a compound where we can be creative and be there whenever we want to be. Now we'll have our own place where we can go make music 24 hours a day, and it's going to be great.
Recording would apparently start around June 2012, and by August, Gerard would even say that the album was coming together pretty quickly.
And you're working on what album? What number album?
5. I'm only calling it, I like to call it MCR 5 right now, so I'm really excited.
When's the album come out?
We don't know yet, but this one is going rather quickly, and I'm very excited about that. And it's very dark so far, but I really like it.
Hell, even as late as March 2013, a Kerrang! Magazine would even discuss the upcoming album, and how eager the band was to get it out pretty soon. Which would be a bit ironic because, as a lot of MCR fans know, later that same month, specifically March 23rd, 2013, the band would announce their breakup, canceling any future tours and any plans to release the new album. And then, of course, a year later, the band would release their Greatest Hits album, May Death Never Stop You, which would feature a brand new song, Fake Your Death, which would be confirmed to be the only song from the Paper Kingdom project that got released. Because, as band member Frank Iwer would claim in an interview, it was the only salvageable track from the project. Sometime after the breakup, Gerard Way would later talk about the album in interviews, where he eventually revealed the title of the album, which was The Paper Kingdom. He stated it was going to be a concept record in the same vein as Black Parade and Danger Days, where it would follow the story of a support group of parents who were dealing with the loss of their children, who all died in a horrible way.
And I started to work on a record that was a concept record about a group of parents in a support group because they had all lost their children in a horrible way. And that was supposed to be the last record. And that's not a story I wanted to tell.
It's going to be this storyline about a support group of parents who are dealing with the loss of their children.
Whoa.
So they make up this story about the children all being missing in the woods and fighting this witch. And that was what it was about.
Did you have a name for it?
Yeah, it was called The Paper Kingdom. There may be a time in my life where I want to do The Paper Kingdom, and maybe it's a book or maybe it's something else.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about Gerard with MCR projects is that he usually tries to look ahead of time when it comes to their albums. So much so that even at one point when talking about Danger Days, he outright claimed that he felt that MCR doing a fourth album just didn't really make a lot of sense, because he personally felt that the band should have wrapped things up at Black Parade.
to be honest, I never saw My Chemical Romance going past Black Parade. Before we'd even done the first record, I would write out titles of things. I definitely knew I had the title of the second album before we'd even recorded the first. And by the time I'd got to the third album, which didn't have a name, I had felt like that was the end. Basically, the time spent after Black Parade was me fighting against that instinct and fighting against myself. So the end of Black Parade felt like a very natural ending. To go beyond that felt like betraying some sort of artistic command that I had within myself.
Plus, I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, but Danger Days was like the third or fourth attempt they had when making a follow-up to the Black Parade, which is actually where all the Conventional Weapon songs came from, since all of those songs were actually recorded back in 2009, just before they landed on the Danger Days concept. So, me personally, I kind of view the Conventional Weapon songs as MCR 3.5, while Danger Days is MCR 4. I just think it's neat to look at it like that. But I would imagine if Gerard felt off about making a fourth MCR album even back then I couldn't even imagine how he must have felt when it came to them making a fifth album at the time, and so soon after Danger Days. Hell, it could even be debated that Gerard's heart just wasn't really in the band anymore, even before they started working on the Paper Kingdom. When he tried watching their shows in 2012, more specifically their last concert in May, Gerard would say that at this show he felt like he was on autopilot, like he was acting instead of performing, which never happened to him before. So many thoughts were going through his head at this very last show, and I'm gonna guess that he maybe just tried pushing those feelings down again just to get through making a fifth MCR album, which obviously was not gonna work out. So the album got scrapped and the band decided to break up. After the breakup, Gerard would put out a solo album, Frank would put out multiple different side project albums, Ray Toro would also make a solo album, and Mikey Way would also pursue other projects too. But overall, between 2013 and 2019, MCR was dead. But then, in 2016, the band would be teasing something called MCR'S, which led to a lot of fan speculation about a potential reunion, or even a release of the Paper Kingdom, only for MCR'S to be a 10th anniversary release of the Black Parade called Living with Ghosts. Yeah, the marketing for this thing was pretty ill-timing and kinda tone-deaf, but it wasn't a bad album. It gave us 11 unreleased demo tracks, with about 4 to 5 of them being completely new songs. So, hey, that was pretty neat, but after that release, there wouldn't really be any other major news for a few more years. Though there was this random point in 2017 when a fan spotted Gerard, Mikey, Ray, and Frank all together at a bar somewhere just hanging out. Yeah, it wasn't really for a big event or anything they were putting on there, it was just, they were chilling. Okay. But, you know, it was still pretty cool to know that they were still doing good after the breakup. And then, of course, eventually fans received amazing news. While the boys hanging out in public in 2017 didn't really immediately lead to anything, it actually would be revealed later that they were getting back together to work on stuff at the time and even having rehearsals in private. And then on Halloween 2019, Frank's birthday, the fans would finally receive the best news ever. My Chemical Romance were getting back together and they were going to put on an amazing reunion show in December of that year. A full-on tour was announced, along with them teasing potentially new music in the future. Once January 2020 came around, 3 teaser videos were dropped, but the way one of them dropped was a bit strange. First, on January 10th, a short Symbols promo was posted online. The video had no audio when it was posted on MCR social media accounts. However, there was originally a version of this promo that had sound. According to a re-upload of this video, which I had to go track down on archive.org, so shout out to Blue Spin Dash for pointing me there, the version that had audio was apparently shared by a different Instagram account, Warner Music Artist Services, before it immediately got deleted, and the version without audio would become more well known. That's a little weird. Then second, on January 19th, a 2-minute teaser dropped called An Offering, which showed a few figures going into the woods and ending with them doing a very odd chant, which will actually become important later. And then the third promo, which was released on January 28th, a 13-minute short film called A Summoning was uploaded to their YouTube channel, which contained multiple callbacks and references to past MCR albums and whatnot. Interestingly enough, around the 11-minute 30-second mark, an orange logo was shown that was also accompanied by a new sounding piano track, Plus, if you turn the audio up and listen closely, you can faintly hear the same chant that the hooded figures were saying in the Offering video. So yeah, tickets were selling out, the teaser videos were hyping up fans, MCR was back, man! 2020 was looking to become the best year ever. Oh, fuck. Yeah, COVID kind of fucking ruined everything, didn't it? This would sadly cause the band's reunion to get delayed, which would last a whole 2 years. So that was a bummer. Not a lot of other major announcements would really happen aside from them needing to delay like other tour dates and whatnot, which would now be set to begin in May 2022. Though this month would also be incredibly special for MCR fans for a very big reason. On May 12, 2022, my birthday of all days, and I wasn't even a fan yet, My Chemical Romance would shadow drop a brand new song. Their first new song since 2014, The Foundations of Decay. A decent portion of fans would actually think this was a reworked song from the Paper Kingdom, but it turns out, no, it was actually completely new for the reunion. The Foundations of Decay would be the opening song for all their shows between 2022 and 2023. And even though this new song showed that MCR were very clearly getting back into the mindset of making new music together, unfortunately, a tragedy would hit the band just 1 month after it dropped. The band's longtime production engineer and close friend Doug McKean would sadly pass away at the age of 54. Doug had worked with them since Black Parade and Danger Days, and he was even brought back to work on Foundations of Decay, which ended up being his last project. Me and a few other MCR fans have theorized that Foundations was probably not going to be the only new release the band were going to put out, but Doug's sudden and tragic passing more than likely stalled any new music getting worked on. But the band still carried on and even pursued new tours later down the line, even dedicating some of their performances to Doug himself. In 2024, MCR would play 2 shows at the When We Were Young festival, where they performed the entirety of the Black Parade album in full for the first time since 2007. And shortly after these performances, MCR would start making a few more cryptic social media posts teasing what seemed to be a new project they were working on, with these Russian-looking themes and logos and... Wait a minute. Is this taking place in a weird new world with random sheets of paper floating in some type of kingdom? Oh my god, is this the Paper Kingdom? Are they finally releasing this long dead project? Nope, it was just another Black Parade tour called Long Live. Fucked by the Black Parade again, Jesus Christ. I mean, it was still a good tour. I actually went to see them back in August during the Arlington, Texas show. It was still a fun show, and even the encore set was fun too, but... damn. Yeah, this is supposed to be a video about the Paper Kingdom. Oh wait, while on this tour, at 3 shows so far, they actually revived a brand new song from the album called The War Beneath the Rain. It's a very beautiful song, instantly became one of my favorite new MCR tracks, and they even played it as the last song at the Arlington show that I went to, which was pretty cool. So yeah, that's now 2 confirmed songs from the Paper Kingdom that the band themselves have acknowledged. Fake Your Death from May Death Never Stop You, and War Beneath the Rain being played at 3 shows of theirs. Oh, and not to mention, on the video screens at their concerts, they would sometimes show a paper castle a few times, and... what are they even doing? Like, what are they even trying to tease? They'd also make like a few more cryptic social media posts, like something about phantoms or whatever, and so far it's just a bunch of overpriced merch that I don't care about. They're not releasing new music, and... yeah, there didn't really seem like there was going to be any plans to release the Paper Kingdom or anything new in the future. I would have thought that with them reviving War Beneath the Rain at a few shows that they were maybe going to release that on its own, or maybe even release it as a live track from one of the shows, but they didn't even do that either. Like, why? And so far, this is kind of where we're at in terms of MCR's official plans, with them just going on another Black Parade tour for this year. I am gonna go see them in October with a few friends, so, you know, that'll be fun. But when it comes to them releasing new music soon, nothing appears to be concrete. I mean, in 2025, they did release 3 Cheers Deluxe Edition, which wasn't really a deluxe edition. It was just every song remastered and like 4 live tracks. And don't get me wrong, I actually do really like the remasters of all the old songs, and the live tracks are okay, but when you compare it to, say, the Black Parade Living with Ghosts release, which had 11 demos that we never heard before, and then we get this album which doesn't even have any demos on it, it's kind of disappointing. Mind you, they claim to have lost all the Three Cheers demos, known as the Manhattan demos, like back in the day when they were moving from Jersey to California. It's made even worse when you realize their first drummer, Matt Pelliser, actually has the only known copy of the demos, and he just wants to remain the sole owner of them, which is annoying as shit. Hey, so just recording this quick audio segment. This video has been in production for several months, and while I was in the middle of editing it, they announced the Danger Days 15th anniversary release. So please do not leave a comment saying, Cooper, there's a new Danger Days release coming out in July. I know, and I will talk about it much later in the video, but I just wanted to say right here, right now, yes, I'm aware of the Danger Days anniversary release. Please do not leave a comment saying, wow, Cooper missed this, because I didn't. Anyways, back to the video. But I don't want to go on a tangent, so basically, the band's not releasing new music, and we're kind of just stuck with the Black Parade again. Which is what leads me to the main crux of this video. So while MCR were on their Swarm tour, and also just before they did their When We Were Young concerts, some kind of sketchy things were happening online. It all appeared to have started in September 2022, when a user going by the name Excalibur would make a very surprising post on the music leaking website, leak.cx. Excalibur came forward saying they had a complete copy of the Lost MCR album, obviously referring to the Paper Kingdom. At first glance, it just seemed like this random dude was just full of shit, but his post also attached 3 audio samples of MCR songs that no one had heard before. The samples were for the songs Witch, Wake Up, and Dark Cloud. Initially, some MCR fans actually thought that these were fan-made or whatever. I guess you could say AI generated, but this was actually just before the whole AI boom started taking over everything, which I hope it dies soon. However, when these audio samples were being posted and shared around, they were suddenly getting struck down by Warner Brothers and Reprise as copyrighted content, which basically confirmed the legitimacy of these songs. This Excalibur person had just blown everyone's minds. He had in his possession new MCR songs from this lost and unreleased album? Where the hell did he get these, and where did they come from? So, these songs were indeed made for the Paper Kingdom. How people like Excalibur got them was apparently from a breach that took place in the Warner Brothers servers, where countless artists' music was stolen, which obviously included this material from My Chemical Romance. So, if you ever go online and you see some parasocial-ass MCR fan acting like, oh my god, they stole this from Doug McKean's hard drive after he died! No, that's not what happened. I've seen some people try to claim that this breach happened in 2016, but honestly, I think it may have happened in early 2022, just before Doug McKean had passed away. So, no, they didn't steal this music from a dead man. You're not awful for listening to it after he died. But basically, after this breach, a bunch of hackers got their hands on stolen music and were selling them on black market sites on the web. And when I say that these songs were being sold, I mean that they were being sold for literal thousands of dollars. Hell, I've even heard stories about how people would apparently pay thousands for just one song from the Paper Kingdom. It's insane. So clearly, Excalibur got his hands on these songs and was trying to sell them to people on the leaked website. Supposedly, all the songs were eventually sold to a user on the site named Aang, who bought it for $10,000. And we just never heard from Aang ever again because he decided to just keep the songs for himself, which I don't blame him. It's 10 grand. I was not a fan around the time these initial leaks were taking place, but I'm sure for MCR fans at the time, just knowing that these unreleased songs were out there and could potentially be leaked in the future, that honestly would have kept me up at night if I was actively following this band. But that's all the updates we'd really get from 2022. We'd never hear from Excalibur or Aang after he bought all the songs. No new updates came from either of them in 2023 either, but a different update elsewhere would occur. An account called No Cool Kids Allowed, who would live stream listening sessions of various artists' music, wound up getting a copyright ID claim from a live stream they did, where they were actually playing a few more leaked MCR snippets. And this copyright claim would very clearly identify another unreleased Paper Kingdom track, which was called Paper Swords. Holy shit. Nothing else would come from 2023, but the fact that we ended up getting another identified song from this album must have been crazy, especially since it had now been a full decade since the album was shelved in the first place. But then, midway through 2024, something kinda big happened. On the 4th of July, completely out of nowhere, the song Witch from the 2022 samples would leak in full. This apparently came from a sell that Excalibur made with a different user named Adam, or @Tam, who was only able to get one song from his sale. Yeah, sadly, Wake Up and Dark Cloud didn't get posted anywhere. A different user on Reddit would claim that Adam actually did have other Paper Kingdom tracks that just weren't part of this big leak, along with reports that these purchases costed upwards of $5,000 to $10,000. Like I said, people were not fucking around when it came to selling these songs on black markets. In reality, this Adam person apparently scammed someone on the website, which led to that person leaking the entire song in full out of spite. What's also interesting too is that the band themselves actually also accidentally leaked a snippet from it back in 2020. Remember that Symbols promo that MCR posted on their social media without audio, only for that one Warner Brothers account to accidentally post it with audio? Well, the audio was actually the opening notes from Witch, an entire 4 years before the full song got leaked online. Whoops. And if you want me to show proof of that, I can't really play high quality versions of this song without this video getting taken down or just blocked, so I'll just play a quick millisecond of both the Symbols promo and the song, so have a listen. See? They're the same notes. And according to the metadata on the Witch file, it was dated back to July 24th, 2012. Which completely lines up with the album's original production around that time. One day after the big Witch leak, another user on the leaked website would make another post that provided more info on the album. They even provided a decent track list for some of the other unheard songs, including the claim that apparently 14 to 17 songs were made for the album. Shit, this leaked track list would even include War Beneath the Rain, a whole year before MCR themselves would debut it live, which is kind of insane to look back at. This person's post would also include 2 new audio snippets for songs that they bought from Excalibur back in 2022. One was a new sample for Wake Up, and the other was a snippet for a demo version of Foundations of Decay, which kinda confirms that this breach probably happened back in 2022, considering Foundations didn't exist in 2012 or 2016. And that's kind of where all the initial leaks end when it comes to the Paper Kingdom. At this point, Witch was out there in full, we still only had audio snippets for Wake Up and Dark Cloud, along with an audio snippet of the Foundations demo. Plus, fans had gotten confirmation that these songs were real because Warner was striking down the uploads of them. Also, if you're for whatever reason curious about finding the original audio clips that were leaked initially, I wouldn't recommend looking them up. They are actual clips of the songs because they were being taken down, but in the snippets, I guess to sort of keep these songs locked away still, they put these audio watermarks on the samples that play every few seconds. Like you'll just listen to a little bit of the song just fine, and then out of nowhere you'll just hear Excalibur just all up in your ear. It was fucking annoying. So yeah, at the time we got a few new audio samples and a full brand new MCR song that was just out there now. And not to mention, even the Sammy Literally blog pointed out that the first note on Witch matched up with the sampling that was heard in A Summoning, which at this current point in time is where their blog cuts off. But that basically marked the end of all the crazy speculation and questionable aspects of the Paper Kingdom and its legitimacy, until earlier this year. While MCR were on their tour in 2025, during their first night at Dodger Stadium, they would debut War Beneath the Rain live for the first time, which made it the second fully confirmed Paper Kingdom song. It was a pretty huge deal for MCR fans at the time because, well, it was a brand new song, but also for people following the leaks. Some of them remembered that the initial tracklist leak actually included War Beneath the Rain, so it was kind of insane to basically get full confirmation from the band themselves. But apart from that, nothing else really happened in terms of leaks in 2025, which leads us to February 2026. After almost 2 years with no updates, just as MCR were about to wrap their Long Live tour and prepare for the upcoming Black Parade 2026 tour, MCR fans, and I'm gonna assume the band themselves, would have a massive bomb dropped on them on February 1st, 2026. Super late at night on the leaked website, a user going by the name Coming of Jesus, yes, that was really their name, would make another post about a Paper Kingdom leak. So you're probably assuming, oh, is this guy just another asshole trying to sell the songs or the album for like literally thousands of dollars again? Did he only provide audio samples with really annoying watermarks, just so he can tease people and get them to buy stuff from him again? No, he just posted the entire fucking album. Yes, for whatever reason, this Coming of Jesus person posted an over hour-long MP3 work print of the entire album. No joke, every song from the previous tracklist was accounted for, and more! There was an early version of Fake Your Death, which from 2024 was there, but we even finally got tracks like Wake Up and Dark Cloud unedited, not to mention finally getting a good copy of War Beneath the Rain, and even Paper Swords was there! What the fuck? What made him post this? So now every song from the album that was reported to exist, and more, were in this MP3 file, except for one. It was also reported that a song called Into Your Arms was also made for the Paper Kingdom, but it was completely missing from the MP3 work print that Coming of Jesus posted, until like a week later when a different user who was clearly pissed off at Coming of Jesus decided to leak Into Your Arms to everyone else, because they were apparently scammed by the Jesus dude. Look, leaks are never ethical, but I honestly love that a lot of the major leaks that have happened so far are from people getting scammed and just doing them out of spite. I mean, just think about it, they were potentially scammed for upwards of thousands of dollars. I don't blame them for wanting to leak this stuff out for free. But yeah, this Coming of Jesus person wasn't some saint who decided to leak this entire album out of the kindness of his heart. He only did it because he wanted to make more money selling these songs. Which kinda makes you beg the question, why the fuck did he leak the entire album then? Like, when that Excalibur person had posted stuff, he had those obnoxious watermarks in the audio samples played every now and then. That way he could still try to urge people to buy the actual songs. But Coming of Jesus didn't bother doing that. He just posted the entire album unedited. I mean, he was trying to offer selling more high-quality versions and even other demos that he had his hands on, like previous versions of the songs and even the entire album in high quality. But let's be real. Unless you're a fucking audio dork like me, you don't care what quality this album is in. You just want to listen to it. And honestly, the MP3 file that he shared wasn't really in that bad a quality. It was actually pretty decent sounding. And like I said, people were going to be happy to hear the songs at all. They don't care if it's not lossless or pristine audio quality. So if I haven't made it clear yet, Coming of Jesus kinda screwed himself here, along with every other scammer who had this album. Everyone on the leaked website kept laughing at the dude for still trying to scam people by selling these songs, even getting multiple accounts of his banned several times. Often he would just make a new account with the same username but with a different number at the end. Yeah, that'll definitely fool the mods. And yes, unfortunately, it would be reported that some people did still try buying stuff from him, and he just kept scamming people, even after he put all the songs out. But like I said, the MP3 that he posted wasn't in that bad a quality, and you could probably find it online pretty easily if you know where to look. It's definitely the most famous and widely shared version of the album out there. And remember when I said that Coming of Jesus basically screwed himself and other scammers in the community over by just posting the entire album unedited? Well, it was about to get way worse for them. Eventually, a few heroes in the leaker community would come together and get their hands on every MCR song and file that Coming of Jesus had, and then they would just end up leaking everything in 2 large file dumps in mid-February. That's right, the entire album in high quality along with other versions and demos from the album, including the Foundations of the K demo and whatnot. It is all out there if you go looking for it. For obvious reasons, I'm not going to provide any links to go download these songs because I don't want my channel to be taken down, but all I'll say is if you know where to look online, you'll find it. The user responsible for getting all this leaks went by the name Toasty, who promptly rode off into the sunset, having done the MCR fandom good by retrieving these lost songs and giving them to the public for free where they belong. Oh, and Coming of Jesus would come back with one more thread still trying to sell these songs for money, to which everyone laughed him off the website and he hasn't been seen since. Good riddance, you dumbass. But that's the story of how we finally got our hands on the Paper Kingdom. What a goddamn mess. So how is the album? Was it worth the 14-year wait? In my opinion, yes. Despite technically being unfinished, I think this is a fantastic album. I have been listening to it non-freaking stop, like almost every day since it got leaked. The production, the songwriting, the pacing, the theming, the track list, it's so damn well made. And you can really tell that Doug McKean had a huge hand on helping them work on this album just like he did with Black Parade and Danger Days. I'd probably describe it as MCR going back to their 3 Cheers and Black Parade sound, but with the Danger Days production and flair. Almost every song on this album has a special place in my heart. Almost, but it's still a really good album. It astounds me that the band were probably in a bad mindset when making this record and probably felt out of it, and it still sounds good. And I think that is an incredible display of how freaking talented this band is. Like, they could release this album right fucking now and it would still fit. Kinda similar to Danger Days, it is shockingly aged insanely well despite never getting released. So yes, while I love this album to death and I've listened to it over and over again since it dropped and it's just an amazing album, It should be known that these are very much unpolished songs. While I still think the production and even some of the rough mixes on these songs are still some of the best work that the band has ever created, when you actually try looking at it from the original concept story that Gerard had proposed, this album makes no goddamn sense. It's a fucking mess. So while I love these songs as a fan, I can absolutely understand why they didn't want to put it out back then. But let's be real, aside from Black Parade and Danger Days, MCR trying to make concept albums with the songs not really connecting or making sense together isn't really the first time this has happened. Their first two records, Bullets and 3 Cheers, were originally pitched as concept records and do share some lore and themes across the songs, but there really isn't an ongoing narrative with each track. The Paper Kingdom very much has that same feel. It's like Black Parade and Danger Days tried to have a baby, but it turned out 3 Cheers was actually the real father, and I don't know where Bullets would fit in. It's probably like a distant uncle or something. In spite of how imperfect and unfinished this album currently sounds, I still love it, and this might be a hot take, but I kinda prefer it over 3 Cheers and Bullets. But I know it's not really a fair comparison because Paper Kingdom was never properly finished, but I still think it's a great display of the band's talent at this point in time. Sure, it was seemingly slapped together super fast, but they still made amazing art, and I can see the beauty in all the broken glass. Yes, that was a K-pop Demon Hunters reference, I don't care if that annoys you guys. Also, that song's way better than Golden, fuck you. Another pretty major aspect about this album leaking that I didn't really realize until recently is that we finally get to hear a full album with their fourth and current drummer, Jared Alexander. So far, we had only really heard his skills on Fake Your Death and 2022's Foundations of Decay, along with all his live performances and whatnot, but now we get to actually hear what he brought to the table when it came to the Paper Kingdom. His work on every track is just incredible, and I'm honestly just happy for the dude that we get to hear even more of his excellent drumming on new MCR songs. Plus, this album would be the second appearance of the band's former keyboardist, James Dewey's, who had been a touring member since 2007, and even got to work on their fourth album, Danger Days. He was also apparently promoted to being an official member of the band in 2012, with the Paper Kingdom being the second full album he got to work on with them. Or I guess third if you want to count the live album Black Parade is Dead. Unfortunately, James's official member status didn't really last too long since the band broke up in 2013, and he didn't come back for the reunion. It's a shame because James recorded some pretty amazing stuff for the Paper Kingdom that we sadly never got to hear until now. I would even debate that the work he did on the Paper Kingdom actually surpasses what he did on Danger Days. But I'll let you guys decide that for yourselves if you decide to go track down this album. That's actually something else I want to discuss before I talk about the songs, which is the weird amount of tension in the MCR fandom ever since the album leaked. And to a point, I do get one side's reasoning. This was very much a project that the band themselves didn't want to put out, and they probably shelved it over a decade ago for a good reason. I mean, fuck, as much as I love this album, it more than likely would have killed MCR entirely if they forced themselves to release it back in 2012 or 2013. We more than likely wouldn't have gotten the reunion, like, they would have been just so fucking done with this crap, and I wouldn't blame them. So yes, morally and ethically, leaking this album was not right. This should have been the band's final call, but some jackass hackers stole their work and it ended up being leaked online for free. With an asterisk. Just a reminder, before Coming of Jesus dumped the entire album like a dumbass, previously the Paper Kingdom was getting sold for thousands of dollars online on black market websites, and that's not right either. I would heavily argue that if this album didn't get leaked, it would be in a far worse place. In fact, it was for the past 4 years. The people who hacked into Warner's servers had no right to steal this stuff from MCR and other artists, but those same hackers also have absolutely zero morals for selling music they didn't create for the sake of making thousands of dollars off these songs. So should this album have leaked in general? No. But considering the circumstances that it was stuck in before it got fully leaked, I'm glad Coming of Jesus fucked up horribly. And to be perfectly honest, if this was my music and I heard that some other assholes just stole it and were selling it for their own money, I would be fucking pissed. Hell, I would probably leak it myself. Like, I would rather it be out there for free and with the fans where it belongs than getting sold in sketchy areas online. Plus, just being honest, these guys are fucking millionaires who have also been grossly overpricing the tickets for their concerts to a point where people are basically at war like in the Ghost of You music video trying to get to see their shows. So I think MCR are going to be just fine with this old album from 14 years ago leaking online. Hell, I even remember on the main MCR subreddit, someone posted something that got a good amount of upvotes, where it shows someone from a Discord server claiming they had a source that was close with the band. Yeah, this source is kind of the epitome of trust me bro, but just take it with a grain of salt. But according to this source, most of the band are apparently happy that the album leaked, because they saw the project as a burden, an incomplete mess that held them back from moving on. And to quote, now it's out there with blisters and all, but it's out and we can leave it behind us. Again, grain of salt, I don't know who this Discord user is or what source they have that's close to the band, but I also like the possibility of this scenario being a reality because it honestly makes the most sense. I love the album, but objectively speaking, it is an incomplete mess. So the idea that this project has finally been lifted off their shoulders, I honestly really like that. Them finally feeling like they can move on from this now abandoned 14-year-old project. I also just like the way that quote was worded. It's now out there with blisters and all. It's honestly just an insanely beautiful and pretty accurate way to describe the record. Do you think Gerard said that? Do you think he was quoting Gerard? I like to think that Gerard was the one who said that. He has such a way with words.
If you ever see shitty-ass rock dudes in shitty-ass rock bands asking you to show them your tits for a backstage pass, I want you to spit right in their fucking face and yell, "Fuck you!"
Also, what the fuck did he mean by most of the band are okay with it leaking? Like, whom in the band is not totally happy with it leaking? Ray? Mikey? Frank? Also, guys, stop being so parasocial. They're not our parents. They're not gonna put us in timeout for listening to their unfinished work. Random hackers we don't know stole their shit and it ended up getting posted online. That's what the majority of leaks are. It happens to various artists. It was completely out of the band's control. Like, what the hell were they supposed to do? Not to mention, while I'm sure you can still find the leaks if you look hard enough, the leaks aren't really that easily accessible, especially not now. Not to mention Warner is currently taking down any and all uploads of these songs, so it's not like you can just find them on YouTube or some shit. All I'm trying to say is you are not a bad person for going out of your way to find this album. I may be a recent fan, but I love MCR and I immediately jumped on looking for these leaks when I found out they were happening. I was already aware of the Witch leak from 2 years prior, along with all the drama that led up to it leaking in general. So when I heard the full album was finally out there, I jumped on that shit immediately. I like to joke with my other friends who have been MCR fans for way longer than me that I became an MCR fan at literally the perfect time. Not just with Foundations dropping on my birthday, but after I finally listened to the entirety of their discography and became a huge fan, suddenly a new Black Parade tour was announced, and this lost shelved album of theirs got leaked online, and just months after I saw them play one of the songs from it live at Arlington, Texas. Did Gerard or Frank wire my house? So, while we do finally have the songs, there's another aspect of the Paper Kingdom that myself and other fans have wondered about, which is honestly one of the most obvious things to really ask. Was there ever any official cover art for the album? The true answer is no. I doubt any concept art or whatever will ever get released or shown at this point, but obviously if you just Google Paper Kingdom album art, you'll still find a lot of pretty cool fan-made covers from over the years, and we're very much going to keep getting more of them now that the full project has leaked. I have a fair share of favorite art pieces done here and there, which I'm showing off in the video, a lot of them coming from users on Reddit and Twitter, but there's one fan-made cover art that actually intrigues me the most. A user from the MCR subreddit named Okidopey123 posted this little album edit they made for the Paper Kingdom. They had pointed out how this cover art was being used by MCR themselves on a website selling tickets, and they even used it for a few tour date promos. If you look at the artwork, it uses a photograph of a real castle called Elt's Castle, which is located in Germany. Not only that, but the cool logo that was shown in the summoning video was very subtly edited in the background. So Okidopey took this cover and slightly modified it, adding the Paper Kingdom text on the cover, and honestly, this might be the closest we'll ever get to having an official cover art for the album. Definitely the most modern take of what it would actually look like. I really like how the real-life Elk's Castle has basically become the unofficial representation for the Kingdom in Paper Kingdom, not only from the band themselves using it in promos, but there's a lot of fan-made covers out there that use this castle as a basis. If I ever find myself in Germany for whatever reason, I gotta go see this castle, man. It just looks beautiful, and I love how a structure like this is still around in modern day, and I'm glad to see it's now basically getting mixed in with new MCR lore, the real Paper Kingdom. Something else you may notice about a few of these fan-made covers is that they seem to have a huge emphasis on using the colors white, because paper, duh, but also orange? Believe it or not, there's actually a legitimate reason why some fans do this. In one of the 2012 interviews where Gerard was talking about the album, he made a comment about how he typically liked to think about music in colors, and that he specifically saw a lot of orange in the next record. Not to mention, at some of their last few shows in 2012, Gerard would bleach his hair from red, and by the end it almost looked orange. I wonder if he did that to try teasing the Paper Kingdom, since they were most likely writing the record around the time. As I mentioned, he's always been a forward thinker about these things. So yeah, Elt's Castle and the color orange are the main representations to expect when visualizing the Paper Kingdom. Hell, even the cover art for the Fake Your Death single had a good amount of orange in it, and maybe orange came to Gerard's mind considering the band's origins and Halloween and stuff. I don't know, just spitballing. While I do love the orange visuals and the other cool stuff that fans have put together, I do want to give another shout out to a user named Hamiltron, who also posted their own fan cover in the Paper Kingdom subreddit. It's a pretty sick piece of artwork that they actually made physically, using actual paper with cutouts of Elt's Castle, of course, and even the band's modern logo, before digitizing their cover and posting it. This is fucking gorgeous. Fantastic work, dude. I also like how you included some of the lyrics from the songs in the background too. Amazing touch. Good shit. Getting back to the album itself, it's pretty interesting that the full thing leaked as a singular audio file at first. The file was titled Test Sequence 3, which obviously means it was the third version of the album they had stitched together. There's only two known official test sequences, Sequence 1 and Sequence 3, with Sequence 1 being incomplete and missing the last few songs. And since it's a test sequence, that means almost every track transitions into each other to somewhat create a solid structure of the album's narrative. But thanks to the work of leakers like Coming of Jesus Fucking Up, and Toasty saving everything he had and releasing it for free, we now have various versions of the album and the songs included. I will also note that there's a Test Sequence 5 that's made rounds, but it might actually be a fake sequence that someone else slapped together because it really sounds like it. Despite being called Test Sequence 5, it has worse sounding song transitions than Test Sequence 3. Like, it's pretty clearly fake. Why would a later test sequence sound worse? That doesn't make any sense. So my original plan for this video was that I was going to break down every song from the album and maybe even try to play samples from them, but I probably should have realized going forward that that was not going to work out very well. And I even tried putting filters on the audio so they wouldn't be detected, but upon doing a test upload, it was still blocking the video. Not anything you just watched during the first like 40 minutes or whatever, it was mainly this section where I was trying to break down every song. In fact, the only song that didn't give me an issue was Fake Your Death, because that one got released on the Greatest Hits album. And I'm sure if I had gotten to War Beneath the Rain, I probably could have just used a live recording of the song just to get past the copyright issues, since uploads of those seem to be unaffected. But also, only having two songs that I could play actual samples of from the album, that just didn't really sound right for me to do. Plus, even if I did somehow get past the Content ID claims blocking my video, I personally don't think it's really worth it to just put a crappy audio filter on these songs, because it's really not doing them justice. So yeah, my original plan to break down every song from the album, I'm just not going to do that because of copyright reasons. But I will at least go through my notes and share some fun facts and even some misinformation about these songs that I'd like to clear up. Something else I was also going to do is that you may have noticed the orange witch hat and the orange shirt. Yeah, I was going to try to wear as many orange props I could for most of the songs, or just an outfit or hat that fit the track. Like, I've been working on this video for so long that I've literally shot footage using all the props and whatnot. Maybe on my second channel I could do a special outtakes video using all the footage, but obviously besides Fake Your Death and live recordings of War Beneath the Rain, none of the other songs can have audio samples, so it would just be me expressing my raw feelings on the camera. I don't know when that outtake video would see the light of day, but maybe in the future. I also just don't want this to turn into some kind of impromptu Coops review, and who knows, maybe in the future if the band decides to put out the Paper Kingdom, or a version of it, I can revisit it in an actual review. And I gotta be real guys, I want to wrap up and get done with this video cause I'm kind of getting burnt out on the Paper Kingdom. Like, I have been listening to it ever since it leaked back in February, but I've now reached a point where I just want to move on from it and not really keep working on a project that I'm just slowly losing interest in. I guess now I can kind of relate to what the band were going through when they were working on this album 14 years ago. So trying to summarize my thoughts on all the songs, the first track is Fake Your Death, which we've all heard by this point. It was the opening track on the Greatest Hits album, and it's the opening track track for the Paper Kingdom. The video for it is also technically the last MCR music video we have to this day, with it just being a trailer showing a montage of the band throughout the years. It's not one of my top 5 or 10 MCR videos, but it's good for what it is. Obviously, every song on the Paper Kingdom can count as a demo, but it is interesting hearing this early iteration of Fake Your Death, before they reworked it for May Death Never Stop You. I think it is a pretty good opener for the album, but personally, it's not one of my favorite songs. In comparison to the rest of the band's discography, and even some of the other songs on the album, personally, I don't think it's one of the best, but I wouldn't skip it. I still find it a bit infuriating that Frank Iroh tried to claim that this was the only song from the Paper Kingdom that they could salvage. I just completely disagree with him on that fact. I would not have chosen Fake Your Death for the album. But Gerard actually provided a much better explanation about why Fake Your Death was chosen for May Death Never Stop You. He talked about the song on Twitter in 2014, and said that when he first heard the song when they tracked it, he realized that he had written Fake Your Death essentially as a eulogy for the band. He found the meaning of the song to be honest and self-aware for the band to create something like that. Almost by accident by the way he's describing it here. So even though I feel that Fake Your Death is not one of my personal favorite MCR songs, and I would have chosen a different Paper Kingdom song for the Greatest Hits album if I was in charge, but I get why they released it back in 2014. It was the end of the band, and it just felt more fitting to put this song out. Like, they might as well give fans one last piece of them being honest about their current state at the time. As Gerard himself perfectly put it, ending felt like something honest, and honest always feels like something new. So Fake Your Death is a pretty solid opener, just not one of my favorites. It is a good song though. Oh yeah, the test sequence version of Fake Your Death has a much different ending. Instead of just abruptly stopping, it has an outro that was identified as orchestral tuning. And that's exactly what the outro sounds like this orchestra is just tuning their instruments all at once, getting ready to put on one hell of a show. And now insert joke that I previously filmed. Considering uploads of this part of the song keep getting blocked, I don't know if I could play part of it here, but to try giving a good comparison of what this sounds like, basically imagine you just finished listening to Fake Your Death, and then it's immediately followed by the PS3 startup music. Genuinely, that's what I really thought this part of the song sounded like when I first heard it. And after the orchestral tuning outro fades out, it goes right into Witch. Witch just has this bombastic opening orchestra. It's like, damn, they were prepping to put on one hell of a show. Witch had also leaked back in 2024, and it was the second song from the Paper Kingdom that we fully got to hear. It's a damn good rockin' track, like holy shit. The orchestra sounds amazing, Gerard sounds great. It's such an incredible rock opera song. But there is one bit of misinformation about Witch that I want to clear up. Around the time the leaks were happening in February, a different sounding instrumental track for Witch was also found. In fact, it was 2 copies of the same alternate instrumental. And for some reason, the initial leaks of this track tried to claim that it was a re-recorded version of Witch made in 2019. You know, while the band was prepping for the reunion tour. But it would also be extremely confusing if this was a re-recording because it literally sounds worse than what's on the test sequences. Like the mixing isn't as polished, the guitars are more energetic, which I do like, but it just makes it sound a bit more rough, and the orchestra sounds like a really crappy mid-eye. It just made zero sense to fans like me why it sounded worse. That's because this instrumental version of Witch is not from 2019. When tracking down the original metadata for this track, it actually dates this song back to June 29th, 2012, before the 2 main versions got made, and it's also the earliest recorded date from the metadata included on these leaked songs. Yeah, this instrumental version of Witch is actually a demo, not a re-recording, which made me so relieved. So yeah, I just wanted to clear up that misinformation because it's kind of annoying that this demo instrumental is being seen as the 2019 version when the original metadata for the song say otherwise. But overall, Witch is a great fucking song, it's one of my favorites, it's so good. And the next song is also a banger. Track 3 is technically called Bike Thief, but if you listen to the test sequence, it actually has a 40-second intro that's known as Stars Align, which people were only able to identify by uploading the test sequence to YouTube, and YouTube's Content ID claims actually helped us identify the songs, which is how this little part of the test sequence became known as Stars Align. It's the intro for Bike Thief. And I love the structure of both these songs being together. Like, it just starts out as this really beautiful piano piece, and then it goes right into a really heavy rockin' song. Seriously, Bike Thief is one of the most god-tier MCR songs they never released, and I don't get it. And needless to say, it's one of the first really good songs on the album that I would have picked over Fake Your Death. But But another one of the reasons why I really like Bike Thief, and I hope they release it at one point, is because the lyrics to the song have a lot of transgender coding in its writing. As a result, I think if they released this back then, it could have been this great trans anthem. If not, I'm sure the trans community would have just appreciated the really rockin' awesome song, especially since the MC Army has a lot of LGBTQ plus people in it. Makes me wonder if Gerard was maybe writing this for them. And also just him writing off personal experience considering he's had gender identity issues in the past. And even says he goes by he/they pronouns. Oh, and if certain people watching are gonna act like huge pussies hearing me talk about this stuff, unsubscribe, I don't want you here. There's also another fan theory I figured I'd bring up. Some fans believe that elements from the Emily demo that was on Living with Ghosts were lifted and repurposed on Bike Thief, which is an interesting idea considering both songs do sound fairly similar. And I also do kind of subscribe to the idea because Bike Thief kind of sounds the most like a Black Parade song on the album. I just think it fits the vibe so perfectly. But yeah, Bike Thief is great. And the next song was Operation Day, which is not a heavy rock sounding track like the last two songs, but it's still really good. I took off the witch hat because I'm sweating like a motherfucker. Operation Day is a lot more of an orchestral track, and it features some of the best vocals that Gerard Way has ever recorded. The production on it is amazing, and honestly, I'd love to hear this song played live. In my notes, I also said part of the reason I probably like this song is because it has a similar sound and structure to Iridescent by Linkin Park, which is also one of my favorite Linkin Park songs. And considering both these albums were made pretty close to each other, I wonder if Gerard or someone in the band was just influenced by it. But yeah, kind of like how they revived War Beneath the Rain for their concerts, I hope they also do the same for Operation Day. The song is great, and it's one of the best ones on the album. The next song is Falling Down, which isn't a bad song, but it might be the first skip. It's kind of repetitive, but it is a relatively short song. And in the MCR Mega Leaks, there's a demo of the song called Pog Slide, and it's an instrumental track that's completely orchestral, and it sounds way better. Someone actually shared me this final version of Falling Down. Basically, it takes the vocals from the test sequence and puts it on the orchestral version. And honestly, it's a huge improvement for the song. I don't know if I consider it one of my favorites now, but it's definitely the best version of the song if you want to go look for it. Another thing I wrote in my notes is that if this album did come out and it sounded the exact same as the test sequence, I still probably wouldn't like Falling Down, but I'm sure there's a lot of people in the MC Army who would just consider this super underrated deep cut. But the pace of the album is picked up immediately by the next song, Birthday Girl. I was actually pretty hyped to listen to this song when I saw the title of it in the track list. Like, just from the name alone, I knew I was gonna love it. But yeah, this song, it just sounds like a fucking party. They must have had a blast making it. Like, it's so energetic and catchy. It honestly has super heavy Three Cheers vibes. It also has like my favorite lyric on the whole album. Give me some of those good times, and the devil will be dressed in white. Motherfucker, I'll be staying all night. Oh yeah, there have been some fans trying to find out the lyrics for these songs, and they've mostly been able to figure them out just by ear, but there's a few songs on the album where you can barely hear Gerard's vocals, like he just becomes super inaudible, and sadly, Birthday Girl is one of the songs that suffers from that. It doesn't ruin the song, it's still a party, but man, I really hope they release this song because I want to know what he's singing. But I still consider Birthday Girl one of the best songs on the album, and Frank, why didn't you guys release this one? Like, what the fuck? What is your defense? But the song after that one is Dark Cloud. It's a 6.5 minute rock tune that's a bit more slower paced, and it was great to finally hear this song after it got gatekept for so long. Skip. And look, I know this song has its fans, alright? Like, Gerard's vocals are pretty outlandishly delivered here, so if fans like that sort of thing, there's a lot of it in Dark Cloud. Also, the guitar solos sound really fucking good. Like, it's easily some of Ray and Frank's best work. But yeah, Dark Cloud, it's not a bad song, I just don't vibe with it too much. But every other song after that one, I really like. Like the next song, Wake Up! I don't think it's objectively the best song on the album, but it is my personal favorite. It is so fucking fun. It was also the second and last song that was teased back in 2022 by Excalibur, so it was cool to finally get to hear it. Like the drumming, the guitar, the bass, it's so good. It's like a cool companion piece for Birthday Girl. Like if they ever released Paper Kingdom as like a conventional weapon sort of deal, where it was like 2 songs per release, I would probably pair together Birthday Girl and Wake Up. I just think they would fit so well together. They're easily the most fun songs on this album. It's just a fast, good, rockin' track, and I love it. Aside from the fact that it has the same chaotic energy as Birthday Girl, this song is my favorite because it also has probably my favorite middle breakdown section of lyrics, which happens during the middle section of the song, and fuck it, I'm just gonna play it. Girl incinerator, sleep in the elevator, hell to the king and a teenage detonator, side gun generator, death to the indentator, hell to the king and a teenage liberator, shotgun, side gun, jokes cause death, tits, milk, turds, pills, and the way that you came in. T-shirt, girl, stills, radio, take your stills, tits, coke, pills, and the way that you came in. So good. Oh my god, why didn't they release this song? How did that conversation go in the studio? Oh shit, damn, this song fucking slaps. Nice. Good work, boys. We're not releasing this shit. And the next song is a pretty short one called Louder. It's much slower than the previous song, but it's still really good. It's also a fairly short song. So much so, I would probably pair it up with Falling Down the same way I pair up Birthday Girl and Wake Up. But I definitely think Louder is a much better song than Falling Down. The melody's really good, Gerard's singing sounds amazing, and I just overall love the vibe of this track. And the instrumental breakdown at the end is so good. Just really bombastic and loud. While the last few songs had their fair share of just being super depressing or just pure chaotic, Louder almost tries to mix both themes together, and it sounds really good. And then after Louder is an interlude track called Narita Airport. I wouldn't put it on my favorites playlist or anything like that, but I definitely wouldn't skip this one. Narita Airport is a relaxing piano piece with random background recordings of an airport. I wouldn't be shocked if these were just recordings the band themselves made when they were touring in Japan. In fact, some of you might not know this, but in early 2011, there is footage of James Dewey's actually playing what sounds like an early version of Narita Airport. Special thanks to Jamie and Adrian from the Paper Kingdom Discord server for pointing me to this concert, which took place at the Wembley Arena in London, England, on February 12, 2011.
I don't even know how you guys have energy because it's hot and it sounds like they worked you the fuck over. But we can still fuck you pretty good. This is the start of the European leg of the World Contamination Tour. And this is a song off Danger Days.
And while I did assume that the band themselves were the ones who recorded the background noise while at the airport, there actually is this old tweet from Doug McKean himself, where he was asking people if they were at the Narita airport because he needed audio samples of the announcement chimes. And what's interesting is that he posted the tweet on July 17, 2012. And according to the metadata on the song, the audio file for Narita Airport dated back to being made just one day later, on July 18, 2012. However, not only did fans find that old tweet from Doug McKean, but they actually found a YouTube video from 2015 where someone posted a very similar sounding audio recording to what was used in the song.
Thank you for waiting, ladies and gentlemen. Qatar Airways Flight 807 to Doha is now boarding for all passengers at gate 66. Thank you for choosing Qatar Airways and member of your role flights. Thank you.
It's pretty insane how dedicated MCR fans can be when finding this crap. So much so that some of the fans even made a rough extract of what the announcements were saying, and then a rough English translation of them, in case you were curious. But I do wonder, why was the Narita Airport worked into this album? I feel like the only two people who would probably know the answer to this would be Gerard, but he probably forgot because it's been almost 14 years since they made the album, and Doug McKean, who's dead. I guess we'll never know. But once the interlude ends, it leads right into the other Paper Kingdom song that most of everyone outside the leaker scene knew about.
The song is called The War Beneath the Rain.
Yup, here we are, the only other Paper Kingdom song that the band themselves have acknowledged in any form. War Beneath the Rain was one of the songs in the initial tracklist that got leaked back in 2024, but it would gain huge public attention when MCR themselves would debut the song live during their Long Live tour, with the first performance happening at their first Dodger Stadium show on July 26, 2025, and proceeded to play the song again at two other shows, playing it as the closing song for their August 2nd show at the Global Life Field in Arlington, Texas, which I was in attendance for, with the third and most recent performance of the song at the time of this video, happening on September 7th at Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. So because this song has been played live, that technically means it got released, sort of. But yeah, I got to see this one live when they played it at the Arlington show in Texas. It was a pretty epic closer. Also, when looking back at the set list for that concert, I guess this technically means I've seen live performances of at least one song from all their albums, including a Paper Kingdom song. Aren't I so special? War Beneath the Rain is a beautiful song, and I'm honestly glad they revived it for their live shows, especially since this is the one other Paper Kingdom song that you guys can actually look up for yourselves and find pretty easily. Like, there are plenty of live videos out there of the song being played, so go check it out. Plus, being in the position that I was in, not only was it awesome getting to hear this live version of the song at a concert, but then like 6 months later, this studio version of the song leaked online. That's insane. What's also pretty interesting is that there are actually 3 officially recorded versions of War Beneath the Rain. In the leaks, there are 2 different studio versions with vocals, with version 1 actually sounding like a pretty early demo, while version 2 sounds like a fully complete version, and at the moment, it's probably the best version of the song if you want to go track it down. But in the leaks, there's actually another version of this song. Kinda similar to when fans found that demo instrumental for Witch, in the leaks there was also another demo instrumental for War Beneath the Rain. The metadata for the song is sadly inaccurate. The reason for this, as some fans have theorized, is that when MCR were initially setting up for their reunion tour in late 2019, Doug McKean most likely went back to his old files for the Paper Kingdom and exported newer copies of the tracks for the band to use in promos and whatnot. As a result, this actually got rid of some of the metadata for a lot of the songs in the leaks, with a lot of the songs being dated as being made in November 2019, when they're very clearly older versions of songs and unused demos from 2012. However, when it comes to the demo instrumental for War Beneath the Rain, there's actually a pretty solid chance it was made after the 2 studio versions, mainly because the length of the track actually lines up more with the recent live version and not the studio versions. So there's probably a solid chance that this instrumental actually was made back in 2019, which would also explain why this is one of the only songs they revived for their current shows. And even if this wasn't made in 2019 and maybe it just was an early demo instrumental the same way that Witch instrumental was, then I'm gonna assume that when they decided to revive it for their long-lived tour, perhaps Gerard and the others just felt this early version of the song would be more fun live. I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case. Oh yeah, there was also a theory going around that because this re-recording of War Beneath the Rain exists, then that must mean a 2019 version of the Paper Kingdom was also being made, but there is literally no evidence to this whatsoever. And I think this theory was also heavily running off the idea that the instrumental demos for War and Witch were both made in 2019, which the metadata for the Witch instrumental immediately proves it false because it was made in 2012. So no, unless the band says something, there is no 2019 re-recorded version of the Paper Kingdom anywhere. Though what is kinda weird is that the original file name for this War Beneath the Rain instrumental was for some reason labeled Unknown Dark Cloud, which has kinda led fans to thinking maybe there's also a re-recorded version of Dark Cloud, but again, we'll never know. Side note, another piece of misinformation I want to clear up, there's a super old fan video of MCR doing a soundcheck during a 2012 show, and the quality on this is super fucking bad. But some fans have actually tried claiming that the song they're playing in this soundcheck video is supposed to be an early version of War Beneath the Rain, but honest to God, please try to take a listen to the audio in this video and tell me, does it sound anything like War Beneath the Rain? Yeah, I'm just gonna go with this isn't true. This could just be some random demo or even just some quick improv jam they're doing. But this is clearly not War Beneath the Rain, and you guys are really stretching if you think it is. Oh yeah, and when I went to see MCR back in Arlington, I dressed up as a Black Parade character, and while I was walking around, 2 different fans actually gave me these bracelets, with this one saying Demolition Lovers, and the other one being a pretty basic MCR one. I feel bad that I didn't get the name of the 2 people who gave me these, but it was really sweet. They were also way better items I got at this concert than any of the overpriced merch that I couldn't get. Seriously, that shit was ridiculous. Oh yeah, there's also a lyric in War Beneath the Rain that a lot of people have misheard, which goes, "'Cause we don't care about all the birthdays that we've had." But some fans actually misheard the lyric because of the live performances. So if you look up the lyrics for War Beneath the Rain anywhere, you'll probably find it wrongly written as, "And we don't care about all the bad things that we did." That's clearly not the lyrics. Not only in the studio versions does Gerard very clearly say birthdays, but even at all 3 live performances, he still sings "We don't care about all the birthdays that we've had."
All the birthdays that we've had.
'Cause we don't care about all the birthdays that we've had. Maybe me and you could just pretend.
But yeah, it's also kind of weird how birthdays are such a common theme on this album. Like, the topic is brought up on Witch, Birthday Girl, Wake Up, and now War Beneath the Rain. I once saw someone joke on the Leaks website that if they released this album as Birthday Party or some shit, then it would have fit. I honestly agree. And it goes without saying, I personally think they should have put this song out on May Death Never Stop You instead of Fake Your Death, because I think War Beneath the Rain is a literal masterpiece. And it's pretty clear that the band themselves recognize that because they brought it back at their live shows. And just before I move on from the song, I do wonder, before the leaks, what were the plans for this song? Like, because they brought it back and played it multiple times, were they gonna release it at some point? Maybe through finishing that alleged re-recording they did in 2019? Or were they maybe gonna do another live DVD release for Long Live? And maybe it was gonna include one of the live performances of War Beneath the Rain? You know, kinda similar to how Someone Out There Loves You was featured on the DVD release of Black Parade is Dead? I honestly wouldn't have minded that if that was what their plan was. Like, if not a DVD, were they at least gonna do a live single or something like that? This song desperately needs an official release of some kind. It is way too good to just not get one. I guess regardless of whatever plans the band has for this song, War Beneath the Rain is fantastic. It's one of the best songs on the Paper Kingdom, and I'm really glad they brought it back because it very much stands as one of MCR's all-time best tracks that they would never release. And the song after that is what I consider the penultimate song of the album, Paper Swords. And I also made this like adult-sized paper hat, so I'm gonna wear it for this segment. But yeah, Paper Swords is this really epic, amazing 5.5-minute song. It's like this really slow piano track, and then it goes into this orchestral cool-sounding song, and then it just goes into rock, and it's so good. Some of the best lyrics happen during this part of the song, and it's also like super emo sounding, but it's My Chemical Romance. You'll never know just how it feels to die inside. So burn that castle in the sky. My kingdom for a lie will never die. Who am I? I really needed this album when it leaked at the time. Like, you guys have no idea. And I'm sure there are other MCR fans out there who also felt the exact same way. Also, remember that chant from the promo videos? Those were actually lifted from Paper Swords. So it's pretty clear that the band themselves are aware that this song, like War Beneath the Rain, is a masterpiece. It's another one of the best songs they've ever made but never released. Masterpieces back to back, like holy shit. And considering they were sampling it in their promo videos before the pandemic, then I am so sure that the band themselves are aware that this song needs to be released. I really hope they revive this one and play it live at some point. It would be so cool. Frank, if you guys are watching, you better fucking play this song on October 21st at the Hollywood Bowl when I go see you guys again with my friends. Don't let us down! If not, War Beneath the Rain or Bike Thief would be cool. My friend Emmy also really likes Witch, so maybe play that one. But there's a lot of themes and callbacks in Paper Swords that allude to a lot of the other songs on the album. Again, it's the penultimate song that everything built up towards. Even though it is a bit of a mess, this does feel like a really satisfying payoff. But apart from getting sampled in the 2 promo videos from 2020, it was also sampled at their 2019 reunion show. During that concert's intro mashup, you can hear audio of a little kid singing Happy Birthday. A lot of people didn't know why that was there, and of course we wouldn't find out it was from Paper Swords until 7 years later when the album leaked. But when we did get that track list, it led to some fans thinking maybe this audio sample was from the song called Birthday Girl, which was a good guess, but now that we have the full album, it's not true. It actually comes from the outro of Paper Swords as it's transitioning into the next song, and appears to be lifted from a phone message from a woman to her husband, where she has her kids sing happy birthday to their dad. I have heard a theory that apparently the two people featured in the phone message were supposedly Gerard's wife Lindsay and their daughter Bandit, though neither of them are name dropped in the recording, and the woman calls her kid by the name Gavin. So I'm gonna guess if this was Gerard's kid, then he didn't just want to put his daughter's name out there on an album. Apparently Gerard would later talk about how he was going to use an old voice message he got from Lindsay and Bandit, and was going to include it in a song, but he later regretted it because it was a very personal message for him, and he obviously didn't feel too comfortable using it. So if it is true that this recording is of Lindsay and Bandit, I would assume that if they did release this song in the future, they would obviously take out the voice message. But at the same time, why would they still sample this part of the song at the reunion show? And why would Lindsay refer to her kid as Gavin? I don't know, it's strange. It's never been confirmed that this is Lindsay and Bandit during this part of the album, which also ultimately never got released, so it doesn't really matter. But there is one new aspect of the lore for this album that came out during the leaks, which can actually make the context of this voice message a lot more dark. Which leads us to the next song, Dive, and I feel like I have to slap a trigger warning on this one. Putting it bluntly, depending on who you ask, this may be the darkest song on the entire album. Like, to compare it to a different song, I would probably say Dive is the sleep for Paper Kingdom. It is a heartbreaking, disturbing, and depressing ass song. Part of the reason why this song is pretty disturbing is that there was one new story development that came out from this 19-minute Batman demo session audio file. It was basically Gerard and I'm assuming Ray just jamming together in the studio, like just trying to slap songs together or some shit. But during a few parts of the audio file, Gerard actually talks about this random cop character that was on the album. Yeah, there's this random cop character in the Paper Kingdom that, to my knowledge, was never brought up in the interviews. Is the cop one of the grieving parents, or is he just investigating what happened to their children? And I'm guessing we're just never gonna know because they abandoned the album. But basically, if this entire album is about this cop character, then it changes the context of almost every song on the album if you're trying to follow, like, a story. And it also kind of makes it a lot darker to where it makes songs like Paper Swords seem like he's just having this emotional breakdown of sorts, which is what leads him to the events of Dive, where he's basically unaliving himself by drowning. Yeah, like I said, this shit gets pretty dark. Regardless of its implied context, there's a lot of MCR fans out there who actually really like Dive. And I kind of like it too. Like, yeah, the lyrics and everything are disturbing as shit when you look into them, but I like the instrumental, I like the composition, I like the vocals. It's kind of a good, depressing song to vibe to. But like I said, a lot of MCR fans really like this song, and they've even done their own deep dives about what this song is about. And without going too much into it, a lot of them have come up with some pretty disturbing theories. Like, one of the theories they came up with is that Dive is actually about child molestation. I don't want to talk about that one. But yeah, to say that Dive is one of the songs on this album that really needed to grow on me would be one hell of an understatement, but I now see the beauty in this really disturbing, dark track. It's depressing and heartbreaking and a new low point for this album's concept story that I honestly didn't see coming. And sadly, to add more to the theory that this cop character is unaliving himself in this song, the outro for the song actually plays an ambulance driving by, which likely means that the cop is being taken to the hospital after what he did, which just makes the song even more depressing. And then the next song starts, High Hopes. No, not the god-awful Panic at the Disco song. MCR made their own song called High Hopes that sounds nothing like it. And you know what? As much as a mood whiplash it is after coming off a dive, I really like this song. It's very uplifting and it's nice. Even though when you try looking at the song in the context of the concept story and the cop character, if the cop did perish in the last song, then High Hopes is him going into the afterlife, and basically he's just happy he did what he did because he has nothing to worry about anymore, which is not the best message if that is the case. I mean, it's not like this is the first time that MCR made songs about suicide that were happy. But yeah, if you look at the song with that kind of premise, then it's a huge bummer when you go into it. But then the chorus kicks in. And I've seen killers, and I've seen mothers, and I've seen dark nights, and I've got high hopes for tonight. God damn it, I can't hate this song. I love High Hopes, it's so good. It also technically acts as the finale to the album's story. And even though I brought up the unaliving theory earlier, in that 19-minute audio session with Gerard and Ray, at one point, not only does Gerard say that he wants people to think of the cop character during High Hopes, but he also wants them to think of the character during Fake Your Death.
Yeah, I'm thinking about this song makes you think about the cop. Fake Your Death makes you think about the cop now, too. It's coming back to that stuff, by the way.
Which actually leads to another kind of different theory, where did the cop not actually die in the last song, or did he just fake his death? I don't know. We'll never get an official answer. So while Which was the start of this album's world, High Hopes is the exit. And while the first song, Fake Your Death, was the prologue, the last two songs, Dogs, Perfectly Well, is the epilogue. That's not a joke, by the way. When people uploaded the last song from the album, it was identified as Dogs Perfectly Well. Not Dogs / Perfectly Well. Dogs Perfectly Well. I don't get it. But it's basically two songs, Dogs and Perfectly Well. And the beginning of Dogs actually begins with this piano organ that you usually hear at church. And if we're still trying to follow the cop story and him not having a very good ending, then this kind of sort of implies that we're at his funeral. But it doesn't really last very long, because after like 20 seconds of church music, we go into a goddamn rave. Dogs is kind of a cool, funky digital song. And since it's the end of the album, the lyrics say stuff like, it's time to go, it's time for bed. They're very repetitive, but I think it fits for the song. The one interesting thing about Dogs is that there's a few early versions of the song, and one of them was labeled Dogs with Dialogue. That's what it was called in the Mega Leak, but apparently the original file name was Fugue Yourself into Dogs with Adult Dialogue. What? So it's not confirmed what this version of Dogs was going to be used for, but there are plenty of theories. This version of the song lasts like 6 minutes, and it features a female voice talking over the intro, and other parts of the song. Also, when people tried uploading Dogs with Dialogue to YouTube, it was later identified by the content ID as Empty Churches. So the audio of the woman talking is actually ripped from the 2012 audiobook version of Ender's Game, which is very fascinating if this lines up with certain events. So Ender's Game was this popular sci-fi novel from 1985 written by some homophobe, but it would later get a film adaptation in 2013 starring Asa Butterfield and Harrison Ford. No one saw it. However, if this early version of Dogs was purposely sampling the audiobook reading of Ender's Game, does that mean Dogs was intended to make an appearance on the soundtrack for the 2013 movie? Again, this is just a theory, nothing's confirmed. For all we know, Gerard or someone else in the band just really liked the Ender's Game book, and they just wanted to sample it for their new album. Just because. Another theory I have is that the audio sample they use also includes a part of the book where they mention chlorine, which was also mentioned in the lyrics of Dive. Which you may think, oh, that's a clever callback to Dive, but here's what I think. What if Dive was the original song they were going to make for Ender's Game, but then when they finished the song and sent it to the producers, they probably responded to it like, what the actual fuck did you guys just send us? So they decided to make a different song that became Dogs, with this early version of the song sampling the Ender's Game audiobook, you know, as sort of a clever reference to the source material. But then I guess at one point MCR were kicked off the soundtrack, so they just reworked Dogs to be the ending of Paper Kingdom. I wouldn't be shocked, this wouldn't be the first time the band was screwed over by a movie studio out of appearing on a soundtrack. Just look what happened to Sister to Sleep. But when it comes to the Paper Kingdom version of the song, it's a pretty decent closure. It has this grand orchestral soundtrack that sounds really cool, and even includes a reprise of Witch, really bringing everything full circle. It's just epic. It's a great final song. Also, remember when MCR were being super cryptic when they were announcing their Long Live tour in 2025, which led to them posting this random picture of a dog with the caption, "Good boy." What the hell was that supposed to mean? I actually thought that Good Boy was going to be a name for an upcoming song they were going to release, and someone on the MCR subreddit actually told me they would never release a song called Good Boy. Motherfucker, they have a song on this album called Birthday Girl. They did a song for Yo Gabba Gabba called Every Snowflake is Different. What the fuck do you mean they would never release a song called Good Boy? Are you stupid? Also, when Paper Kingdom initially leaked and I looked at the timestamps, I genuinely thought that Dogs was going to have some kind of relation to Good Boy, just because they were about dogs. But then after I actually listened to the song, I realized I don't think Dogs has anything to do with Good Boy. Actually, so far, Good Boy has just been a new t-shirt that they sell at concerts. Stupid dog. But while I do like Dogs, I actually prefer the second half of the song, Perfectly Well. It's a quiet 2-minute piano piece that kind of seems reminiscent to Cancer from the Black Parade, but this one's just entirely James on keyboard and Gerard singing. I really like this song. It's very simple, but it's a pretty way to end the album. Though when looking at the Content ID claim, it does make me wonder, if they ever do release these demos, are Dogs and Perfectly Well just gonna be one track? I wouldn't mind, but I would honestly prefer if they were split, especially since I greatly prefer Perfectly Well over Dogs. That said, if they do just release this as a full 6-minute track, I won't be annoyed. And that's basically the end of the Paper Kingdom. Overall, like I said, it's a complete mess, but I really liked the album. It was good. So while I'm done discussing my thoughts on the main songs on the album, there were actually a few extra demos and even B-sides for the Paper Kingdom that were in the leaks. The first really obvious B-side was a track called Into Your Arms. This was a song that people knew about before the test sequence even leaked. So when this song was completely missing from the test sequence, some of us were actually kind of worried we were just never gonna hear it. Until about a week later when that one person decided to leak it out of spite, because Coming of Jesus apparently scammed them. And I'm glad they did, because honestly, Into Your Arms is a really good track. It kind of sounds like an 80s rock tune a bit, and I would also probably say that out of every song that was in these leaks, Into Your Arms is the most completed sounding song. I know I've said this a few times already, but they could literally release this song today and it wouldn't be out of place. And since it wasn't on the test sequence, obviously Into Your Arms was probably going to be considered a B-side track, you know, if the album ever came out. So it's kind of a miracle that we even have this song to begin with. But out of all the extra songs that leaked outside of the test sequence, I'd easily say Into Your Arms is the best one. While Into Your Arms is technically not part of the actual album, if I had to place it somewhere, I'd probably put it right after High Hopes and before Dogs. It just seems like the most fitting placement. But when it comes to the other B-sides, there's another demo called Watching the World, and the full unedited track is like 8 minutes, but it only has vocals for the first 2 minutes. Yeah, it's a severely unfinished demo. In fact, this song is so unfinished, it's not even registered by Warner. So Watching the World is technically public domain. Not only that, but you can find it on YouTube if you look hard enough. This upload has been up since mid-March, so I'd recommend going listen to it before the web sheriff shows up and takes it down. That's not a joke. There's a literal web sheriff that can take down copyrighted content on YouTube. Another leaked demo was called Wednesday, which some fans have connected was actually probably reworked into being Dogs, because it shares a similar melody and whatnot. But this demo, it's okay, kind of a skip for me to be honest. There's also the Batman Map demos. There's like a song on it called Batman Map that's like 5 minutes. And there's also 2 other early demos called Rain Down and Gray Skies. Aside from being recorded around the same time, they don't really have anything to do with the Paper Kingdom. In fact, they sound a bit more like Gerard Way's solo demos. So if you like Gerard's solo work, then definitely look these songs up. Speaking of solo work, there's actually 2 other demos that were specifically made by Ray Toro and Frank Iero respectively. The Ray demo was called Eggman, which before any of you Sonic fans watching pop off, it has nothing to do with Dr. Eggman. It's actually a song about Humpty Dumpty. Also, the main reason I consider this a Ray Toro demo is because Gerard is not the one singing on it, it's Ray. There's also an instrumental version of the song that also leaked, which is interesting. I don't know if this was a demo that Ray pitched while making the album and it just got rejected, but that's the Eggman demo. It's fine. When it comes to the Frank Iero demo, not only does it fare better in my opinion, but it's also a demo for a song that he actually released. This was a demo for This Song Is a Curse, which would later appear as a bonus track for the Frankenweenie soundtrack, and it was included on the deluxe edition of Frank's solo project, Stomach Aches. It's a pretty fun under 2-minute punk rock song, and definitely one of my favorite songs when it comes to Frank's side projects. It's also interesting that according to the metadata, the demo for this song was made on the 4th of July in 2012. During the production of the Paper Kingdom. I don't know if Frank maybe tried pitching this song for the album too and it just got rejected, but I'm glad he released it, and considering it was probably made during these sessions, that kinda means that This Song Is a Curse is technically a B-side. Or maybe a C-side? D-side? F-side? I don't know. But good song, I'm glad Frank put it out. However, my personal favorite demo that leaked is known as G-Away Song. Kinda similar to the Frank and Ray demos, this one was actually made by Gerard. And a little similar to the Batman Map sessions, it kinda sounds like a precursor to his future solo work. It's a full-on production too. I love the piano intro, the lyrics are really cute, and Gerard's vocals sound really good. But the absolute worst thing about this demo is that it doesn't even have an ending, it just abruptly cuts off. And it hurts my soul every time I listen to it. Oh, and why is it called GOA Song? Well, some people have theorized that GOA is actually an abbreviation of Gerard Arthur Way, so he just shortened the name on the demo when he submitted it. And according to the original metadata, this song was apparently made on July 11th, 2012, so that's cool to know. While the song is sort of officially known as GOA Song, me and a few other fans have actually given it the unofficial name of Will You Be Waiting, which is named after the main chorus. It's catchy as hell, I really like it, and I wonder if the song was ever finished. Like, is there a completed version of GOA Song? Gerard, I need to know. Moving on, the next song I'll mention is one that I can't really talk about because it doesn't have any vocals, or more so, a completed version with vocals never leaked. It's an instrumental track called Memories, and that's all I can really say. We have no other information about the song besides the fact that it was recorded during the Paper Kingdom sessions, and there are 3 different versions of it, but none of them have vocals. If they ever do decide to release the Paper Kingdom, I kinda hope it's a special 2-disc release, like with the first CD being the main album, and then the second disc can be filled with all these bonus songs and other demos and whatnot. And I feel like that would probably be the only proper way we get a completed version of Memories. Even though we don't have the vocals, I do like the way the song sounds, but if the chance is that there is a version of Memories out there with vocals, I imagine it's being super gatekept right now after all the leaks. Like, the scammers already lost the fucking album, they might as well protect the one other song they have. And if Memories was on the Paper Kingdom, then, kinda like how I said Dogs and Perfectly Well were the epilogue to the story, Memories kinda feels like the end credits song. That's just the vibe I get from the instrumental. But I have nothing else to really say about Memories, so I do hope that a completed version with vocals does pop up in the future. And the last main B-side I'll highlight is quite interesting. This song leaked not too long after the album under the name Don't You Get Behind That Bus. When I first heard this song, I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was some kind of fake joke leak. Like some fake ass stupid song that a guy on the leaker website made just to fuck with people. But no, it turns out this is an actual My Chemical Romance song. At least according to the Warner ID claims when people tried uploading it. Yeah, this song got ID claimed. And it turns out its official title is Behind the Bus. What is this song? Well, it's just a 90-second joke track that sounds incredibly funky and like the band were just fucking around in the studio. I once saw someone comment that this song is to the Paper Kingdom what Blood was to the Black Parade, and I kinda like that. And for me, this song is also to the Paper Kingdom what Every Snowflake is Different is to Danger Days. It's just a goofy ass, really short song that doesn't fit in or vibe with the rest of the album, but I love it so much. It's a stupid bonus track. Clearly this song was never meant to see the light of day. What's also kind of goofy is that there were a lot of people in the community who were almost forbidding any discussion of this song. Like, out of every song from the Paper Kingdom leaks, for some reason the fucking bus song was super hush hush. Why? It's stupid. Am I missing something? Also, when this song was initially leaked, the metadata for it was all fucked up to a point where it didn't say it was from 2019, but that it was from 2013? I don't think that's accurate. I'm pretty sure this song is from 2012. Though, for a brief time, it was kind of funny to think that they did make this song in 2013, like, just before they broke up. Like, what if that was the reason why this song was forbidden from being discussed, because it was the song that broke up MCR? They were likely going through the hell of making the Paper Kingdom, and then they made this song as kind of a joke, and that's when they realized, what the hell are we doing? What have we become? The Paper Kingdom was stressful enough, but this bus song? This isn't us. I think we've reached our breaking point. We have to end the band. Oh, there's also a demo version of this song too. What? And the only main difference is Gerard says motherfucker, and that's it. What the fuck is the bus song? And that's really kind of it when it comes to all the other demos and other major bonus tracks. Like, do you guys really want me to talk about Barbecue Chicken or the Pro Tools song? Barbecue Chicken is actually a short joke song called Fouling Around that James Dewey's made for his band Reggie in the Full Effect. He's even played the song live a few times for fun. Kinda crazy to think this song originated from the Paper Kingdom sessions. And the Pro Tools song is just a test track that James put together while working on Pro Tools. It does sound kinda cool, but it's just a joke song. In fact, when this song was found, it wasn't actually called Pro Tools Song. The original file name for it was apparently James Figuring Shit Out. That's a real fact that you now know about. You're welcome. Well, we are approaching the end, so I guess now we ask the very question Gerard did when he saw the towers collapse. Where do we go from here? Well, at this moment in time, the band have yet to publicly address the leaks themselves. You know, aside from the one trust me bro source from Discord. Admittedly, I do kind of feel bad for them. Like, clearly they're trying to pursue this unique anti-Russian dictatorship version of the Black Parade, updating all these old songs and making them sound fresh and new, only for this old project they abandoned 14 years ago to rear its ugly head again, just stealing most of their fans' attention away. If I had to recommend one other video about this topic for you guys to check out, it's a video called The Paper Kingdom is Dead by Blue Spin Dash. He goes over a lot of the same topics I talked about in this video, but basically presents this theory that now that the entire album has leaked, the band are probably completely done with it. Like, maybe aside from live performances, they're never gonna release this album on their own. It's a theory that I totally understand, and with that one Discord message that I personally choose to believe, again, grain of salt, it probably is accurate that the band just want to move on completely and just never release this album. And another part of that theory too is that now that the Paper Kingdom is completely dead, then MCR5 could probably be something completely different, which is a pretty optimistic way of looking at this entire situation. You know, if this band ever wants to put out new shit. Personally, I don't see the Paper Kingdom as MCR5 anymore. I'd actually call it MCR 4.5. It's just another evolution of this band before the eventual MCR5 does come out. If it ever does. But if this band does just decide to never release the Paper Kingdom themselves, I'll be fine with it, but I won't lie, a lot of these songs are just too good to not get released. It would just feel like a waste. Look, the album was a mess, but a lot of the songs, especially Isolated, are still some of the best tracks that this band has ever made. And considering they revived one of the songs during their recent tour, they are most definitely aware that there was quality content that came out the Paper Kingdom. Like, sure, I nabbed this album in just about everything that leaked, so me and a lot of fans personally have access to all of this, but I want everyone to be able to listen to these songs. And I also just think a lot of the MCR fans out there who are personally avoiding the leaks out of respect for the band are genuinely missing out on some amazing songs that the band kept locked away for over a decade. Like, I'm sure the band is happy that a good portion of their fans are now listening to this album and it's not being sold on black market websites for thousands of dollars anymore, but I think they're kind of missing this huge opportunity to just put the album out themselves and fully capitalize on its popularity. Hell, there's probably more shit from the Paper Kingdom sessions that the band themselves can put out that none of the hackers had access to. Just fucking do it, please. Release the Paper Kingdom. Why not? Maybe release it as a demo compilation album or something. Like, just call it something like Paper Scraps, the Paper Kingdom sessions. Like, steal that from me, I don't care. I just want the Paper Kingdom to get released in some way. It is a fantastic and interesting piece of MCR history that I think deserves to be preserved. Who knows if that'll happen, especially considering their minds are more focused on other things at this point. Like, they're going on another pretty hefty Black Parade tour, and not to mention the Danger Days 15th anniversary release in July, which they apparently registered back in December, nearly 2 months before the leaks happened. Like, I imagine if they were pissed about the Paper Kingdom leaking, I don't think it would have been because all this unreleased music they had is just out there for free now, but they would just be more upset by how, God damn it, people, we had plans! Yeah, that's kind of what happens when you guys keep vague posting and never addressing things. You also haven't made a full album in like 16 years. Like, of course shit was gonna leak. What are you guys waiting for? I am a little shocked that it's been like 3 months and they haven't addressed the Paper Kingdom leaking at all. Like, I would assume Frank or someone in the band would just do an interview and the interviewer would just ask them the question. Like, it's gotta be brought up at some point, right? Who fucking knows if they're ever gonna talk about it? I don't know. Also, Frank, if you're watching, just hear me out. I'm gonna go see you guys in concert again on October 21st at the Hollywood Bowl. My whole squad's gonna be there. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So if you're watching, Frank, and maybe you guys can be aware of these requests I have, like months ahead in advance, my Paper Kingdom requests would be Bike Thief, Paper Swords, my friend Emmy likes Witch. We also both love Into Your Arms. That would be fucking fire. Even Wake Up and Birthday Girl would be fun as fuck live. Don't act like they wouldn't be, Frank. But if you don't want to do those songs, then like, I wouldn't mind if you guys did War Beneath the Rain again. Or maybe just play Foundations of Decay because that released on my birthday, and I'd really love to see it live. Just be happy I'm not requesting drowning lessons or fucking cubicles, okay? But considering you guys are also doing the fucking Danger Days 15th anniversary thing, my wish list from Danger Days would be like Bulletproof Hearts, Save Yourself, I'll Hold Them Back, Destroya would also be a good one, Summertime's great, Kids from Yesterday, if you guys close with that song, that would be awesome. I love Danger Days, I would fight for that album the same way I would fight for Green Day's Trilogy, like, it is so underappreciated. I love it. But yeah, Frank, like if you're watching, I hope you understand my request, and you know, I'll see you then. So I was working on this video since mid-March, and the album had been out for a full month at that point. The band hadn't said anything, and they weren't playing a new show until like May. And as I was working on this video, not only did they play both those shows and never once address the leaks, between both those shows, they announced the Danger Days 15th anniversary release. It's a deluxe edition with 2 CDs. The first disc is going to be the album, and the second disc is mainly for B-sides and a few live tracks. Which, if you're a fan like me and you know where to find this stuff, we've had access to almost every single track that's on this anniversary release. In fact, the only new thing we got for this release was the live track for Na 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 recorded at BBC Radio 1, which was the first thing they decided to release on this set, and that basically means we have just about everything on it. I won't lie, when this set was first announced, I thought it was worse than the 3 Cheers one, but now that I've sat on it for a few days, I don't think it's actually that bad, and I actually have kind of warmed up to it, and I do think it's a little better. Like, I am glad that all the rare B-sides are going to be widely available now. 0% is such a good B-side, I'm glad everyone's going to be able to listen to it. But apart from that, the big disappointment for me with this set is the lack of demos. Like, there's not a single demo that appears on this release. Why? They've clearly released demos before. I get 3 Cheers not having it because they lost all those demos, but did they lose the Danger Days demos too? What the hell? At the same time, I am starting to think that maybe Green Day and Linkin Park have just kind of spoiled me to what anniversary box sets should be. But I just don't know. I don't know why MCR are so gatekeepy and just not willing to release any new shit. I mean, getting these new Danger Day vinyls is pretty cool. Like, I'll probably grab this one because it looks pretty cool, and wait, what does that say? Amazon Music exclusive? It has every other song that was already mentioned on the deluxe edition, and also, wait a minute, what the fuck? Room in the Bed Amazon exclusive bonus track? What? What the fuck is Room in the Bed? What kind of title is that? How have we never heard of this? Like, MCR fans are pretty good at documenting songs that they never release, so how did we miss this one? Actually, what's pretty interesting is that when this Amazon Music exclusive vinyl went up, the track list was actually a jumbled mess, and Room in the Bed was kind of slapped on there randomly. They have since updated the track list to look more like the other releases, and Room in the Bed is actually not listed anymore. So there's probably a likely chance Room in the Bed was just a mistake and it doesn't actually exist, but I don't know. Why would it specify that it was an Amazon exclusive bonus track? I guess we're just not going to know until the July 10th release date comes, but you know what? If this song is real, then I'll be impressed. Months after all these major leaks happened, and somehow the band manages to one-up us by giving us a song we never heard of before. Allegedly. It may not be on the listing anymore, but I'm just gonna assume Amazon fucked up and MCR just can't keep secrets. If Room in the Bed is a real song, then I imagine it's just a random demo from the Danger Days session that they decided to slap on this exclusive vinyl release, which I guess technically means they are putting out at least one new demo, so okay. Again, I guess we'll see when July 10th comes. Watch the street date for the vinyl get broken and someone just leaks the entire song on YouTube. Maybe it'll be a trash song, maybe it'll be a cold gem, who knows. That said, if they ever do a Conventional Weapons reissue, that second disc better be chock full of demos that we've never heard before. If there are demos, I really hope they put out the fucking 2008 demo for World is Ugly. Like, that version is so much better than what they ended up releasing, it's not even funny. But you know, considering near the start of this video, I was calling Danger Days this underappreciated album, to have the video end with me talking about the band doing this anniversary release, finally giving it the attention it deserves, I guess we've come full circle. But obviously, looping it back to the Paper Kingdom, not much else to really say. Oh yeah, while I was making this video, the fairly popular fan channel My Chemical Romance Historical Fans suddenly started uploading leaked songs from the Paper Kingdom, somehow unblocked. They would even rebrand their channel as My Chemical Romance Not Banned Yet, which I have no clue why they did that. They did eventually take the uploads down, so they're not there anymore. But Jesus Christ, dude, why were you risking your channel like that? Holy crap. But I have nothing else to really say about the Paper Kingdom. Just, if you guys want to go listen to it, go listen to it. And if you don't want to listen to it, then just don't worry about it. It's not exactly easy to find. I still hope the band does eventually release it, especially after all these major leaks happened. What I'm basically proposing is I hope the Paper Kingdom becomes to My Chemical Romance what Steel's album was to System of a Down. You know, if you guys are aware of the history of that album. That said, if they have maybe thought about releasing the Paper Kingdom finally, I highly doubt it's going to happen anytime soon considering they're on their Black Parade tour, and they're also doing that Danger Days Anniversary Edition. But hey, I guess only time will tell. Not much else to really say except, long live the Paper Kingdom.
There was a studio we both Hollywood. And we made some songs, and then we broke up. And then the songs just sat somewhere.
Oh my
We said,
god.
hey, let's play a couple. So we did. I don't know what that voice is. I'm an name for it, yeah. But it's got a good music American voice. It has nothing to do with Texas, it's just America, you know. I had this horseman